Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Autoimmune Adventures, where we explore the real-life challenges and victories of living with chronic illness and autoimmune disease. We are so glad you're here with us today, whether you are listening while you're resting, while you're driving, folding laundry, working, or simply taking a few moments to breathe. We want you to know that you're not alone on this journey. Today's conversation is one that many of our community need to hear. We talk often about stress, burnout, overwhelm, and the emotional toll that chronic illness can take. But today we're digging deeper into what is actually happening inside our bodies when stress becomes chronic. Joining us today is Hailey Coleman, who works with individuals experiencing stress, anxiety, and burnout, helping them understand how trauma and long-term stress can impact the nervous system and how they can begin to move out of survival mode and into a more grounded and regulated state. Hailey brings both lived experience and professional training to this work, and we're excited to talk about nervous system regulation, burnout, and emotional overload, and get some practical tools that our listeners can use in everyday life. Hailey, welcome to Autoimmune Adventures. We are so glad that you're here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So, as we begin, here's a question that we like to ask when we have people like you here with us. Many people living with autoimmune disease experience a lot of chronic stress. I think it kind of is part and parcel of what we're going through. And whether it comes from managing symptoms or navigating healthcare or balancing our daily responsibilities is irrelevant. It is there, and we need to address it. So can you explain why long-term stress affects the nervous system and why it matters for our overall health?
Absolutely. There's been lots of studies showing that high cortisol comes from stress, like everyone knows, and high cortisol wreaks havoc in our body. We're finding that high cortisol levels long-term can cause chronic health conditions, as well as chronic mental health conditions. So we're seeing more and more people with long-term stress just developing different cancers or different autoimmune disorders, a lot of mental health stuff popping up that normally wouldn't occur naturally because it's situational. It's scary. It's super scary. And, everyone that I've worked with didn't even realize that they had chronic stress in their lives because their nervous system was used to the environment. So it's really only until our body starts screaming at us that we start to explore what it is. And I'm just putting this out there, but majority of the people that I've talked to with autoimmune don't actually understand where it came from. It's kind of like a lot of people, it's like a mystery to them. Like, why did I get this condition? And it's, oh, we'll label it as autoimmune because it's like this unknown thing. And I feel like that's just like a Band-Aid label.
Like an umbrella.
And I don't know if, I don't know if
it's like an umbrella for all the random shit.
Oh, we don't know. It's autoimmune. It's like, okay. So I don't know if you two can attest to that, but that's just what I've experienced in my line of work. And if you go back to all of those individuals who are given this autoimmune disorder diagnosis, because there's unknown reasons, a lot of them do have childhood trauma, or chronic stress or family trauma, and trauma can be it doesn't have to be crazy trauma. Like, everyone develops trauma from different certain places, things, people. It's just how our body reacts to it that causes the trauma inside. It's a fascinating topic. I'm excited to talk about it today.
Well, Stacy and I were just talking about this before you jumped on, because I'm in perimenopause. It just has descended on me, and I feel like everything is so much harder in my life than it was before. I feel like stress is completely different to me than it was before. I cannot handle things that I used to be able to handle. And so we hear you talk about something that, survival mode, right? So I think most people are probably familiar with that term. I feel like I'm living it day to day right now. But
Aw.
what are some hidden signs that someone's nervous system is stuck in survival mode, even if they appear to be successful or high functioning on the outside?
A majority of people are high functioning. It's just like our nervous system is so adaptable in both positive and negative that when we have stuff going on in our lives, it just adapts to it, right? So we don't even realize sometimes until the signs and symptoms happen. But what I've seen across the board with women specifically is that chronic stress shows up as hormonal symptoms. A lot of women think that it is perimenopause or their period or menopause, and it's sometimes it is, but chronic stress can also induce that. So we're finding that symptoms obviously are very different amongst everyone because our nervous systems are biologically unique to us, and our situations are different. But the biggest symptoms I've seen across all of my clients are gut health issues. All of our emotions are built in our gut. So whether that's IBS or if you're stressed, you have to go to the bathroom all the time. Like bloating is another one, weight gain, weight loss, anything to do with the gut. If it's just not like happy gut health, usually due to chronic stress. Another one is heart palpitations. A lot of people that I've worked with have been on heart monitors, including myself, just to rule out anything crazy. Ends up being stress. Another big one is obviously mental health, so anxiety, walking on eggshells. I want to say also panic attacks at times, depending on the person. That was also me. Disassociation is a really big one. And then the other major ones like fight, flee, freeze, fawn, like all that stuff. So those are the biggest ones across the board. I have seen other things like your body shakes in certain situations or around certain people. Um, Sometimes your hands get clammy, just different things like that. But yeah, those are the biggest ones that I've come across with my clients.
I think those are good. That's a really good list,
Yeah.
because I don't know about everybody listening. I don't know about you, Hailey, but when I started getting these symptoms, I had no idea where they were coming from. I had no idea I didn't even know about nervous system regulation until my sister Stacy started training in it and how to help people with it. And the more I learn, the more I'm like, why aren't we taught this?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not teaching this to kids in school? This is something that they really should be learning, because I feel like our world is just getting harder and harder on our nervous systems. And if we don't learn to stop and listen to our bodies and see the signs for what they are, and stop and take care of ourselves properly, or even just learn how to take care of ourselves properly, it sets us up for it sets us up for autoimmune disease. It sets us up for heart palpitations and panic attacks. And we got to learn how to notice those things and how to act on them.
I agree. I think that trauma and chronic stress rewire our nervous system.
100%.
And that phrase might get used a lot, but the truth of the matter is it's a very real problem. So let's talk about practical everyday terms for someone living with anxiety, burnout, or chronic illness that will help them better understand this. Because I don't know about you, Hailey, but I know that in my personal experience, quite often people don't understand even what I'm saying. When I say we need to regulate your nervous system, people are like, what? What does that even mean? So what are some of the ways that you make that a little more understandable for people?
Being calm. So if you're having a tough day and you feel like you're on edge, how do I calm that down? How do I bring myself back to normal? If you're a parent and you're finding that you are yelling a lot or you just have very little patience, how do you regroup? How do you bring yourself back to norm? Another great example is if you are a high achiever and you're in the corporate world and you have all these projects and everything's just like feeling like really crazy. Like how do you channel, how do you bring yourself back to your normal calm mode in that environment? How do you kind of let everything kind of just be ignored for a few minutes and just regroup? And I teach people who are new to the nervous system world, a really simple, I call it my bathroom effect. I'm going to teach it to you now because if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling angry a lot, if you have big emotions, whether it's sadness or anger or whatever, if you're feeling like everyone's just annoying you, like that is all like you're everything's just like too much. So hopefully those are simple words that you can, everyday stuff that you engage with. Maybe that person's just annoying you. Maybe that person next to you is chewing too loud. It's just like, like literally those like simple little things. Maybe your boss's voice is annoying the crap out of you. I don't know. But it's like when you're not yourself and things are getting to you, that's your nervous system telling you, I'm maxed out in this moment. So when you're feeling all of those things, I like to say to my clients, do the bathroom effect. So we all go to the bathroom. On average, let's say 10, 12 times a day. It is a private space. So the door is typically shut, whether you're at work, home, or whatever. Once you shut that door, you're in an enclosed space where you can have a moment to yourself. So I want you to stand there with your feet planted and either close your eyes or stare at the tap. And you're going to put one hand on your heart, but pressing into your chest so that you feel your heartbeat. So press deep into your chest so you can feel it. The other hand I want on your belly. And as you're standing there with 2 feet planted in the bathroom, staring at a tap or with your eyes closed, I want you to do 10 deep and slow belly breaths. And this will ground you and reset you from anywhere to 30 to 60 minutes from what I've experienced. Now, if you can do that for 10 breaths every single time you go pee, you're going to be recalibrating your nervous system. It's going to reset you for that next hour. And most people go pee every 1 to 2 hours, let's say, right? So if you can do that for 10 breaths, it will help just retrain your system.
That's a healthy habit.
Right?
I'm gonna work.
What's 10 breaths?
Yeah. I'm gonna work that. I'm gonna work that into my bathroom schedule. That's
Well,
I mean, the bathroom is gonna be my trigger for, okay, now we're gonna take some time to regulate our nervous system.
Like honestly,
Great idea.
even put sticky notes like on your bathroom mirror.
Mhm.
Like you can every single time you go in there. Like I know when my kids were little, like I would honestly just pretend I was going to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get away. And even for like I've talked to other people who are like, I was talking to a doctor yesterday and they were like, I would just go to the bathroom to splash water on my face. I wouldn't even go to the bathroom. She was an emergency room doctor.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, because bathroom's a private space where you can get away and no one bothers you for a couple minutes. So why not do your breath work in there?
I think that's genius. I really do.
Yeah,
But I don't like when I'm in my flurry of mental activity and nervous system dysregulation, I have a really hard time in the moment recognizing that that's what's happening and that I need to stop and breathe and I need to stop and maybe take a second or whatever. But I think if I attached that exercise to going to the bathroom, like actually did it,
Yeah.
that would be so helpful because it would be a trigger, and maybe it would help me also recognize when I'm in the moment and need to stop a little bit better too.
So that's what I'm trying to recreate. We're trying to recreate muscle memory. We're trying to recreate a pattern so that our nervous system is going hard left. And now we're going to intersect it with some bathroom techniques. So we want to like slowly get it going back to right. It's a new pathway. It takes time, but what we're trying to do is rewire our nervous system so that when we do have bigger moments, we know now that that technique or a breathwork technique, which I teach in my work, I teach a lot of other ones, but breathwork will calm you enough so that when you're in a bigger moment and you're like, whoa, I'm feeling like I can't breathe, or I'm feeling like my chest is tight, or wow, my shoulders have been super upright for about an hour, or I can't swallow, or whatever your like tightness is, right? You're going to be now able to recognize, let's say after doing this bathroom technique for a week, you're already rewiring yourself. So I've seen evidence of individuals having less moments because you're already starting to rewire. And when they do have moments, it's like because they've been less, it stands out more. So you're like, whoa, I feel like really off right now. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like it's not because what's happening in individuals like you per se is that now this is your norm. Right now, this is your normal nervous system where you are feeling kind of up here all the time. So every time you go to the bathroom and you implement those 10 breaths, even if you're not having a bad moment, you're starting to rewire those pathways.
That makes total sense to me. It really does. And I try. Over the years, I have gotten better at listening to my body because it's a necessity when you live with chronic illness, right? So when you live with chronic illness, you do have to start paying closer attention to your body. You do become a little more self-aware, and I think that many of our listeners are quite self-aware or learning to be. They read, they learn, they try to take care of themselves, they try different things to help themselves feel better, and yet they are still exhausted. So why does burnout happen to people, even the people who are trying to do everything right?
Energy expenditure. If you're hyper focused on something, you're wasting energy. If you're hyper focused on research, or I'm going to try all the things to try to make myself better, you're wasting energy. Medically, yeah, there might be some things that can be done with autoimmune. Absolutely. But what I don't understand is why medical doctors are not teaching patients, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, why they're not teaching patients with possible autoimmune disorders, stress regulation and gut health. Like,
Great
why are they
question.
doing like, oh, let's get you tested for all these things and drawing blood. And when you draw blood, that's weakening your system too. That's a whole other topic. Why are they giving everyone medication when it's just a Band-Aid solution? Like I get some situations, but when you're first struggling, because a lot of individuals go to the doctor when they can't take it anymore. So now maybe they're past that point and now they do need medicine. But when you're first struggling and you're noticing these weird things going on with your body, whether it's rashes or weird symptoms or whatever it is, why are they not teaching gut health, intolerances? Like, have either one of you ever had a intolerance test? A food intolerance? Yeah, but was that on you?
Oh, it was totally me demanding
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I went in and said, look, I'm done with whatever this crap is.
Yeah.
I need to know what I need to do. And finally, well, I guess you could try this and we could do this. And then, but I had to find a functional medicine doctor before I could even get that done.
Same.
So,
Like, that's wild to me.
Same. Yeah, no, I could not find anybody in like a traditionally trained doctor, Western medicine kind of doctor that would do that.
Like that blows my mind,
Mhm.
because majority of autoimmune, if it was caught at the right time, probably could have been fixed with supplements, gut health support, and stress regulation.
But women are 80% of the people that suffer with autoimmune conditions. And I truly believe that it is because in our society, in our culture, women are taught to be selfless and think of themselves last.
Women carry 10 full-time jobs. Like, how many hats do women wear? Children, like if you have children, like that's horrific on your body. You know, like it's a natural thing, but like if you don't deal with pregnancy properly, or your body doesn't handle it properly pre, post, during, like it's hard on you.
It is. Our bodies put up with a lot as women. We experience a lot. And I did go to the doctor when I first started noticing things. I went to, in fact, 5 different doctors. And I was gaslit every single time until Stacy said, here's what you need to do. You need to go in. You need to say, I need this test done. I need this test done. I need this test done. I need to check for antibodies. And she said, don't let them tell you no. And I was like,
But if you didn't
I can do that.
you didn't have Stacy, who's already kind of paved that path, like you'd be walking in there blind and being like, okay, next doctor.
Yeah,
okay, right?
exactly. She's a little further down the road than I am, and she's already been through so many of those things. And honestly, my diagnoses followed her diagnoses. She got diagnosed with celiac. I got diagnosed with celiac. She got diagnosed with Hashimoto's.
Again,
I got diagnosed with
intolerances though. Like, why are they not like the reason I'm like so passionate about this? I don't have an autoimmune disorder right now. But my son, they were trying to say he did. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, he was like 7. And I was like, I'm going to my natural doctor, and I'm going to test for mold exposure. I'm going to test for all the intolerance of 300 and something foods. I did a few all his like mineral and supplement tests too, to see like what his blood was carrying. The mold exposure was fascinating. We figured out that he was low in ferritin. We figured out that he had dairy intolerance, gluten intolerance, red meat intolerance because something in the protein. We discovered that he was exposed to mold at some point and we needed to do a detox. Like, if I didn't do that based off of my own hunch, like he would probably still be on meds and probably on his 3rd trial of meds. I don't know. Like, that's crazy.
It is, but a regular doctor is not going to be like, hey, let's do all this and dig deep and figure it out.
I think that a lot of people with chronic illness feel really disconnected from their own bodies because they've caused them pain, they're uncertain, and as we've already noted, they go into the doctor, they don't get what they need. They're not receiving a sense of understanding what is even happening in their own body. So how can someone rebuild a sense of safety in their own body, especially after so much trauma?
They need to build trust within themselves. That's the biggest thing amongst all of my clients. Learning how to trust themselves again, learning how to trust their environment again. Trust is built on boundaries, boundaries with self, And those are all different amongst each other. A self boundary, for example, is if you are a sorry person. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like saying sorry all the time. That new boundary will be, I'm not going to say sorry for things I didn't do. So like think of yourself in terms of how do you want to rebuild that trust within yourself so you can regain your awareness. You can like that feeling where you're like, something still isn't right. Like, but do I trust myself with that? I've been gaslit for how many years? Like, how am I going to do that? Boundaries, but within self, not within others. It's like, I'm going to ask Stacy, what would be a boundary that you would personally want to work on?
I think probably the most important boundary that I need to work on is trusting my body when it tells me it's time to stop.
Okay. And how will you implement that boundary?
I'm going to have to implement that boundary by really just accepting that what is best for my body is to stop when it tells me to stop. My body, I would rather listen to it when it's whispering at me than when it's screaming, because when it's screaming, I'm in a full-on flare. I laid out flat for 2 or 3 days. And I'm happy to say that because I have been working on this boundary, I haven't had a flare day in many, many months.
That's huge. Huge.
So, yeah.
So do you say now that you've been working on that, you are starting to trust your awareness again?
Yes. And as I began to trust that awareness, as I began to listen to what my body is telling me, then what I discover is that it's always going to guide me if I allow myself the quiet to hear it. But I actually have to stop and let myself listen. And we live in a world that doesn't lend itself to that. So I have to make a space for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's a great idea to add to your bathroom check-in. Right?
Yeah.
Checking in with my body. Let me just see how we're doing.
What's a boundary for you that you want to work on or have been working on?
I think what I need to be working on right now is accepting that I am going through a massive transformation and allowing myself to do that with kindness. I don't know how that's a boundary exactly. Maybe my boundary is I stop myself when I start spiraling, saying, I don't know how to do all this. I'm in over my head. I don't even know where to start. There's so much going on.
You could make a mantra for yourself that you repeat when you start spiraling. That's what some of my clients do.
That's a great idea.
So it's like cognitive behavioral therapy. You're going to flip the script. So what is one spiral thought that you usually have?
My most recent set of spiraling thoughts. There's so many to pick from.
Just one. I want to teach you something.
I would say today, what my spiral this morning was, I can't do it all. I can't do everything that I need to be doing.
So what would be the complete opposite of that?
I don't want to say I can do everything. I want to say I can do what needs to be done.
There you go. So then that would be a mantra that you can repeat to yourself when you start thinking those spiral thoughts.
I like that. I like that. I can
Yeah.
do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a boundary within yourself. So now you're going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to take on the world, but I'm going to do what needs to be done. And what needs to be done today? A, B, C, D. Cool. I'm going to do those things.
And
So
I'm
you're just like instantly flipping it, right?
Mhm.
Right. And I'm going to be okay if all I get done is A, B, and C. If
Yeah.
D, E, and F don't happen,
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself to accept that I did what I needed to keep my body okay.
And you need to write those words down, because when we're in a spiral mode, we don't think like that naturally. We're starting to get into survival stuff. So I've usually tell my clients, write those things down. The opposite of what you negatively feel, like what Stacy just said, like write that down so that when you are spiraling, it's easy for you to be like, oh, I want to read this. Instead of what are the things I need to tell myself? You're not going to think like that, but you can read it and read it on repeat for a few minutes. But here's a weird thing. So the reason I'm saying all this to you and the audience is because this is a technique that naturally calms our nervous system. It naturally resets ourselves because now we're trusting ourselves. Now we have boundaries within ourselves. Now we're flipping the script in our frantic mindset. But the trick with our brain is that we need to see, hear, and believe it, essentially. So you're going to read it out loud, whatever your new mantra is, or whatever thing you need to tell yourself in those moments. You're going to read it out loud because your brain needs to hear it. So our brain connects in multiple ways. We need to speak it, read it, and hear it. And it honestly changes the way it lands in our brain.
That makes sense to me.
Another really great thing is when someone is spiraling or has crazy thoughts and it's just not stopping. Humming. So I don't know if you talk to the audience about humming, but that is, for me, it's Christmas carols, because the lyrics are embedded in our souls, I swear. So if you know all the lyrics to a song, you just hum it. And your brain literally can't do frantic thoughts and thinking of the words to hum at the same time.
And the
Yes.
thing I love the most about that is it regulates your vagus nerve. Humming is like the bomb for making things better in your life.
Humming is a life source, honestly.
Yes, Stacy has taught me this, and it's another one that I'm trying to remember to do it. But I felt a little silly the other morning doing it. I woke up with anxiety and I was like, what is going on? So I got out of the shower and I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to hum. I'm going to hum as loud as I can. I'm going to hum with attitude. And holy crap, it works. I calmed down.
Yeah.
I calmed down, and I was a little shook by it, honestly, because I felt ridiculous doing it. I felt silly doing it, but
people walk around the streets humming all the time. They don't give a crap. They don't care.
And it's a pleasant thing. I smile when I see somebody humming or whistling, but when I see somebody humming, I'm like, they're feeling it. They're feeling good today or whatever. So it's also a little bit of a shift in my brain when I'm humming, especially if I choose a happy song. So,
and you said whistling. I want to make mention that humming works better than whistling because of the vibration in our throat. There's something that triggers the vagus to calm. There's something in there. It's the vibration.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we need to wrap up. So
Already?
I know. We get
What
chatting
the
and
heck?
we're talking to people that have the passion we have for these subjects. The time flies by.
Yeah.
It makes me sad because
I think we need like a part 2 or something. Because I feel
we might need to do that. Yeah. Because we have a lot more that we could talk about. So, Hailey, this has been such a meaningful conversation. We know that so many of our listeners are struggling with stress and burnout and uncertainty. And so hearing practical ways that they can work on retraining their nervous system, learning how to calm it, it gives us hope that recovery is possible.
It is
And
possible.
yes, and even in small steps. We wanted to ask if our listeners want to get in contact with you, follow your work with you. What do you want to share with them so that they could find you?
I created a landing page on my website. So it's www.hailey-coleman.com. Hopefully, will that be in like the notes of the?
Yeah, we'll include that.
Yeah. So the landing page is your name, your email, and if you put podcast in the comment section, it comes directly to me and you will get a complimentary session with me. It's a mini session. I'm only doing this for a certain amount of sessions, but I really wanted to give away a bunch of complimentary sessions to anyone listening on podcasts. So if you type podcast in there, then I'll know. And yeah, you'll get a complimentary session and then we'll go from there.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, Hailey, it has been wonderful having you on today. And as we wrap up today's episode, we want to thank our audience for joining us on this journey. Your time matters, and the fact that you choose to spend your day with us, it means a lot. If today's conversation resonated with you, we encourage you to take just one small step this week, whether that's pausing to breathe or hum, checking in with your body, giving yourself permission to rest when you need it. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on our website so that you never miss an episode. And while you're there, we invite you to also sign up for the Scenic Route newsletter. We like to share our encouragement and insight and updates there. We are so grateful to have you as part of our Autoimmune Adventures community. And as always, remember, you are worthy of joy. Disease does not define your life. You do.